Yeah, we feel really, really positive about the show. It exceeded all the expectations us and the board had set. And knowing, as everyone knows, the companies start planning their NAMM show attendance almost a year in advance, right? Especially on the exhibitor side, sometimes longer, but even other companies in budgeting. So though the pandemic is behind us, the plans for NAMM 24 were being, created during the early 2023 days. And we were excited about, our path to growing back. We were still working on defining what back looks like, because our goal was always to figure out what does NAMM look like in 24 and beyond. And we exceeded every expectation we had set. And that our expectations were get the right mix of people at the show. That's where it starts, because we knew that, and we already hear 2025, and we hear the buzz. We know it's going to be much bigger. This NAMM's going to grow back to where it was. But what we really, really focused on for the 9 months before was what is the mix of people that need to be at the show to make it important? Because it's those interactions that make it successful for the members there. You invest all the money and time to come to reach and do business with certain other categories of members. So from categorizing members to the way we register, to the way we program education, to the way we set all the schedule of events, we wanted to get the right mix of people there. And that's what exceeded our expectations, both in numbers of people, but also in the interactions and what we've heard from members. So we feel really good that we're on the right path. I totally know what you're saying. So I'm happy to share. When you look at exhibit hall size, like compared to 2020, I'm rough figuring off the top of my head, but I think our exhibit hall size was 55-ish % if you talk about pure square footage, if you're just measuring in square footage. If you look at number of companies, it was 80%. There's two things that were happening. One is, again, these companies had planned their NAMM 24 back in early in the fiscal 23. Remember Q1, Q2 of 23, doom and gloom, lowest inventory of instruments ever, 64% drop, all of that happening. And we forget those times, but that was the time when companies were looking at their budget saying, what am I going to start spending? So I think a lot of companies were still in that cost down coming out of pandemic mode. So they cost down, they had to be at NAMM, but they chose a smaller footprint. The other thing is that companies who were at NAMM in April had to do either 2 NAMMs in one fiscal year, or at least a NAMM and a half in one fiscal year, where the deposits for the next year were due. So the overlap from April, companies had planned, even back, the companies that stayed with us June, April, and January for 22, 23, 24, made a 3-year plan to be smaller for those 3 years, because they were essentially doing 3 shows in 2 fiscals, or in some way, 3 shows in 18 months. And so that's what we saw. Now, on top of that, we had some companies that had a strategy of skip 22 and 23, come back in 24. And they came in and they had big booths. They came in just how they were previous. And those companies, I won't name specific names just to be fair, but they all had really, really successful shows. So we had a mix of strategies on how companies handled the way it works. Would absolutely agree that getting 80 to 105 to 110% is, because we have, again, during there's a lot of new companies out there. There's a lot of brands. There's a lot of brand consolidation, but we will get to 105 and more on that. The question on exhibit size, again, we have to step back, and we are a membership association, and we're bringing this before our board next month, and we're calling all of the members now and trying to understand what they want from the NAMM show. Because I am not, and the way I approach this is, I am not here to tell a major multi-million, hundreds of millions a year dollar company in our industry what they need. That is not my job, right? These companies know what they need. Our job at NAMM is to serve these companies. So what the question mark is, I'm not setting a goal to say I have to get back to 100% of what the exhibit hall was. If that serves companies, then we will facilitate that. We'll get the space from Freeman. We'll figure out the layout. We'll make it work. But what we're hearing now And what I observed at this Consumer Electronics Show, and where as we go out to other trade shows and kind of watch how different industries are coming back, what we're hearing now is the floor space on the exhibit hall, people want a smaller footprint on that because they want a room where they can do more long meetings with their distributors, with their buyers. And so what's interesting is when you look at the square footage of the hall, what you're not seeing is all of the rooms on the second floor and even the third floor that will go to more dealer exclusive, artist exclusive experiences that complement what happens on the floor. Yeah, so on the influencer creator area, we do have some stats, and we definitely recognize when we did our analysis of media and what the NAMM show does, not only in person but for the world looking at NAMM, because a lot of people follow NAMM worldwide, and we wanted to make sure we had the people that were traditional media, covers the show, does a post-show follow-up. We wanted people creating content in the moment, creating that buzz, and giving our exhibitors and the people who've invested their product time in the show immediate reach beyond just the people at the show. So we had in 2023, we tracked, from what we can track, we tracked about 9.5 million views on socially generated content with about 550,000 likes of that content. We doubled down on making sure influencers were invited, vetted, and brought to 24. In 24, we had over 20 million views on created content with 1.3 million likes. Because I'm also interested in who said, ooh, that's interesting to me. So not only did we double views, but we almost tripled the people who engage with those views. And that's just since last week. That's during the show and 2 weeks after. And so we're still focusing on like how NAMM can reach over 1 million people worldwide and continue to do that, because that's why brands invest. So that audience was really important to us, and it paid off really big. An international gathering was super important. That's why, of course, I traveled all over. We were in Europe, we were in South America, we were in China, we were in Japan. And those trips paid off because we went into those countries to understand, and continents to understand the needs. The international growth was really, really great. I think we had 93%, or no, it was 95% of countries represented in 2024 as compared to 2020. So we were, I think, 125 countries versus 130 the year before. We were right there, right? So it was really important that we got the international community back, because that's why people want to gather. And then in the mix of that, when you think international, there's something really powerful about distributors and even the US manufacturers representatives. The folks that are there serving the middle between the manufacturer and the retailer, and those connections who rep multiple lines, that's a really important group, because if they are there, then the brands are there and the buyers are there. And so we really, worked on that group as well. If anyone's ever concerned or wondered that I can't take it, you're wrong. I can take it. So haters, come at me. You want to talk about NAMM? Come talk to me. I want to hear you. I want to listen, right? So like all the NAMM is dead posts, all the stuff that's out there, we actually follow it. I had a conversation this morning. One of my team members said, this person posted NAMM is dead, watch this. I watch it. And when I watch it, I don't say, I say, wow, where are they thinking? How do we help them? What are we not doing to serve them? So I promise you, like, we are a very positive team. We listen. We actually seek out all the negative press. There's very little this year, which is good, but over the past 3 years, there was a lot. We seek it out and we learn from it. So if you want to talk rubbish about NAMM, say it to my face. I want to hear it. Okay. Like, first of all, come on the call. We at NAMM do not think, because of the success of the show we just had, that we're back. We can just keep doing that over and over again. Now we can repeat it. I promise you that is not the mentality. We went into 24 and we said we have to get this thing going. We have to get the right mix. We have to get these people here. We have to get influencers. We have to think about different event structure. We have to think about international receptions. We came in and we tested all over the show what we need to do. So what 24 did for us, we're not back. We're not resting. We're not comfortable. It validated that we're on the right path. And this is what I told the team 2 weeks ago. And now we run down that path. We were treading and setting the path. Now that we've validated, we full sprint ahead. So we are already thinking, we know that we got to keep growing in 25. We got to keep growing in 26. One change that I want to mention about 25 is we are moving to a Tuesday through Saturday event with exhibits on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesday is already a full day at NAMM, and Tuesday is probably 70% full for most people, especially international distributors where you're coming in and having meetings. And we are going to create space for our exhibitors and all of our attendees to be able to have events, education, focused meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday leading up to a exhibit hall opening Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because what we've heard from people is those type of experiences are incredibly valuable. So we're already thinking about what that looks like and how we can work on that. We already have the big companies coming in, thinking about what events they can hold on Tuesday and Wednesday, spreading out some of the time. So exciting things to come there.